Hey, let me time out right there because Dave Meltzer had a tweet that you quote tweeted last week. We should at least acknowledge this. Meltzer said, they did for a period, not big money, but they did. Then again, AEW had many profitable months over its existence as well. I don't think profitable years though, although it's possible 2002 was, since Khan said it was without video game spending and most companies wouldn't list. And
did you even understand that?
Yeah, it's a typo. He's asking about, was TNA ever profitable? Because there has been a run lately, at least the last year or so, where Meltzer has pretty much denied that TNA ever turned a profit. And as you know, I do a podcast with Jeff Jarrett, and he's told me privately, why does Dave say that? And I'm like, well, I don't really know what you're asking. And he goes, well, I saw the books when I was talking to Toby about, coming in and buying out the Carters. So I had to know those numbers forwards and backwards. And he's told me the numbers, but it was millions of dollars a year in net profit. And nobody wants to hear that now. Everybody wants to act like, oh, TNA was always a money loser. Well, if they were, they're a money loser that's still around. But back then, how would you get anybody to be interested in buying it if it was losing money, especially an astute businessman like Toby Keith? They had very, very profitable years. But Meltzer's always kind of denied that. And now here he's saying they had profitable months. And he's saying in reference to AEW, he said it's possible 2002. I think he meant 22. And that is the year that they spent a lot of money on the video game that most people believe lost money. And then you quote tweeted it and said, no question, this is it. If you don't see, smell, hear, and yes, even taste the bullshit you've been paying for. I just wanted to add some context to your recent conversation with Dave about the video games expenditures.
Well, AEW's first of all, Dave Meltzer thinks that he's a really good writer because he's got some participation trophies from friends of his. So he thinks he's a legitimate journalist. He can't even post a fucking tweet that makes any sense. I mean, I could go on. But the point about Dave, and the reason I call Dave out so much is because for years he's able to get away with his shit, right? Before podcasts and social media, Dave could come out and say, spew whatever garbage he wanted to spew, and people like you, Conrad, who didn't hear the other side of the story, would go, wow, he knows what he's talking about. He never has. Dave Meltzer is really good when it comes to history of the industry and what happened when and with who and where, what those outcomes were. I mean, I don't think there's anybody better than Dave Meltzer at that. But that's not enough for Dave. Dave tries to be the analyst and the student of the business. And that's where he fucks up so badly. And one of the reasons I call him out so much is because he tries to make his posts and even his commentary. I've watched him a few times on his YouTube show. He tries so hard to convince people he's unbiased because he covers both sides of an issue, but he's so fucking horrible at it. And he spends, I would say 70% of the social media posts that I see are him responding to people who say, Dave, you're full of shit. And Dave's response is, well, you could tell you really didn't read the article. No, motherfucker, they did read it. And it made absolutely no sense. And it was obvious that you're doing your best to be the surrogate for AEW or any other promotion or talent that you're trying to put over. It is so fucking obvious, Dave. But if you go look at Dave Meltzer, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to be like Dax and study Dave Meltzer's timeline. But I just know based on what I see every day, because I follow this goof, because he provides me with such great content. Example that you just gave for being one of them, that he thinks he's actually good at it and he's doing a great job covering his bias, but it's glaring. And I can't understand how people don't see, smell, hear, and yes, even taste the bullshit that comes out of Dave Meltzer's mouth or mind, as the case may be.
So listen, man, let's jump right back into it because we've got a ton of questions from folks who wanted to participate in our Ask Eric Anything piece of business here. Let's do one from Chance Richardson, digital marketing consultant on Twitter. He says, What story or angle did Eric think was going to be successful, but ultimately failed? So if you can, let's reach into your WCW days and then just, more modern wrestling or any time in your fandom. Was there one idea in WCW that you just had a lot of confidence in and that was a miss?
Well, that's hard because I've never had I don't think anybody that's ever actually been in the business of creating television or writing television or producing television. I don't know that I've ever met anybody who is being honest with themselves or me that would say when they laid out a story, they were confident it was going to work. I've never had that experience. I've always, again, I hate just always talking about one example, but it's the greatest one. The NWO story, I wasn't confident it was going to work. I had a good feeling about it. I thought there's a good chance it was going to work for a couple of months. But I was not 100% confident or even 80% confident. I probably was a little bit closer to 55 or 60% confident. That's usually about as good as it gets for me. Never know when you put something out. It's like a musician that puts out a song. You can't, I don't think anybody puts out any work of art, whether it's a television show, a movie, music, a book, and they say to themselves, I am 100% confident this is going to be a success. Okay? Just context, right? But the other, I guess, obvious example without trying to, dig through my memories of over 30 years, the 5,000 hours of television that I produced during that period of time. The one that stands out, I think, would be would be Glacier and that whole idea of bringing in that Mortal Kombat kind of stylized characters presentation. I kind of thought that was going to work, and I was wrong. It might have worked a couple years previous when the Mortal Kombat thing first happened and it was hot. I think it came too late.
Yeah.
And it came in the midst of a sea change in the way that wrestling is being produced in terms of a little bit more reality and getting away from the character, the teen and preteen character gimmicks and moving into something that was more 18 to 49. So timing was part of it, but I thought that idea was going to work.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson here to tell you a little more about what AdFreeShows.com is all about. Get early, ad-free access to more than a dozen of your favorite wrestling podcasts every single week, starting at just $9. That's less than 20 cents an episode each month. And yes, you can listen to them all directly through Apple Podcasts or your regular podcast apps. How easy is that? Ad-Free Shows also has thousands of hours worth of bonus content and docuseries like Title Chase, Eric Fires Back, Conversations with Conrad, and The Insiders. Plus new series like The Book with David Crockett, Monday Mailbags with Mike Chioda and Nick Patrick, and a whole lot more. And you want to talk about early? You can't get any earlier than listening to the shows live. You can be a part of the live studio audience as we record the podcast. Plus, ride shotgun alongside your favorite childhood heroes for live watch-alongs, Q&As, and other interactive experiences every single month. Come on now, see for yourself what thousands of other wrestling fans from around the world have discovered, that AdFreeShows.com is the best value in wrestling. Check it out today, and hey, when you do, the first week is completely free. AdFreeShows.com.